Well, today we've got a brand new topic for you today. Today is going to be on what has transpired earlier this week, which is the United Nations Secretary General. Yeah, I said it right. Antonio Guterres. I don't think I said that one right. He is saying that we are at the point of no return. If not at it, very close to it. Let's dive on in. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, not sure, somebody correct me down below, offered a bleak warning concerning the future of the world if world leaders failed to implement a meaningful resolution global climate change. I've been preaching on this, everyone knows this. He's not only issued a bleak warning, but he's basically said the same as everybody else, including in our later articles, the climate apocalypse that's going to end up happening if we don't end up taking steps forward. After telling reporters in the Spanish capital of Madrid on Sunday that the purpose of no return is no longer over the horizon, it's visible and hurtling towards us. Guterres told the United Nations on Monday in his opening speech to delegates that levels of heat-trapping gases have reached a record high not seen since ocean levels were 10 to 20 meters more than they are nowadays. He warned that the results may well be dire for humanity if greenhouse gas emissions aren't considerably reduced within the near future. So what he's basically saying is, considering what's been transpiring over the past couple of years, even though we've had the Paris Agreement and so on and so forth, is the Paris Agreement is supposed to be laws and rules and such set forward to lower greenhouse emissions. Well, unfortunately, they have not been doing so. In other words, they've been continuing with regular business, which we all know people go for consistently. But what he's saying is the same thing I've preached about in several of our past articles, videos, podcasts, the whole 9 yards, is that if we don't stop now, there will be no safety net for us in the future. Do we actually wish to be remembered as the generation that's buried its head within the sand that fiddled whereas the world burned? Guterres has been known to ask that numerous times, but his words have a bit of an echo from climate activist Greta Thunberg. I mean, his words were reminiscent of previous speeches of hers, who in September told the United Nations that you are failing us, and she's not wrong. You are failing us. However, teenagers are beginning to perceive your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you, and if you choose to fail us, I say that we will never forgive you. And she's right. I'm not a teenager. I'm not young by any means. I may hope to one day be. That came out completely wrong. Anyways, none of us are really young anymore, but it all boils down to the fact that we can't forgive. At this point in time, we continuously have to battle to get people to do in the first place. MLab spoke with top climate scientists who agreed with Guterres concerning the urgency of the problem. However, they did not entirely support the language he chose to use. The United Nations Secretary General has aforementioned the efforts to prevent climate changes, and they have been to date utterly inadequate, and there's a danger global warming may pass the point of no return. But it is true that we'll never regain our environmental status. Humanity has irrevocably altered our environment. It is simply too late to try and do something. Which, that's not true. That is not true, that is not true, and I'll fight it to my last breath. Everything can be fixed. You just have to work hard enough to do so. In all honesty, the continuous fights over and over, the best way to say it is the strikes, the activists, the people funding it, the people pushing for it. If it was fake, people wouldn't be fighting for it. If it wasn't real, it wouldn't be 95 degrees in November, December. It doesn't matter the position of the planet or anything of that nature. It matters the fact that we are continuously ruining the planet. I live in Southwest Georgia. As of right now, it is 76 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning. And it's December. Countries are on course to provide over twice as much oil, gas, and coal by 2030 than would be compatible with limiting world temperature rise to 1.5 Celsius. So, in other words, we're on course to make way more of any of the fossil fuels than would actually be worth us combating. Mostly due to the fact that once it rises 1.5 Celsius out, it's already gone way too far. It really genuinely has. The conclusion of the United Nations Environment Report is that the first of its kind, and it assesses the gap between governmental plans to provide fossil fuels by 2030 and the world production levels in step with achieving the Paris Agreement goals. So basically put, the new environmental report is going hand in hand with the Paris Agreement Act, basically stating we're not going to, let me get this correctly. It's basically stating that we're not going to put ourselves further in a hole. We actually want to sit here and combat it, not make it worse, which I wholeheartedly stand with. Under the Paris regimen, countries have created climate plans to curb their emissions. However, decarbonization efforts are principally targeted on reducing fuel consumption through renewable sources, energy potency, and low carbon technologies instead of curbing oil, gas, and coal productions, which is true. As of right now, most people are focusing on alternatives instead of curbing what's presently here. But I'd like to throw my hat into the ring and basically say, like, you need to focus on what's now a thing and get rid of it as well. I mean, in all honesty, I have a Prius. It runs on fossil fuel. I can't help that, but that also comes with the simple fact of I can't personally afford another vehicle. My car is 17 years old. I don't have the money to get another one. But curbing how much fossil fuel is still being produced will not only help, but in the same aspect, if you're curbing it while creating all of these new alternatives, they go hand in hand with one another. You're not sitting there persistently fighting yourself. Using the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's situation, projections of planned production to 2030 would see the globe manufacturing 53% additional oil, gas, and coal, more than may be burnt to limit warming to 2% Celsius by 2100. And the Paris deal's higher target is basically saying that they want it lower, way lower. They don't want it to rise 2 more percent. The same projections show fuel production levels are 120% above what would be compatible underneath a 1.5 Celsius pathway. The Paris Agreement's additional formidable target, and that is saying this mostly due to the fact that the gap has widened once again, staring at the planned fuel production for 2040. Projections of fuel production to 2030 conjointly exceed the number of oil, gas, and coal countries that will burn to satisfy their current pledges to chop emissions, and that add up is over 3 degrees Celsius. Basically put, the way we're going right now, we're not going to be able to combat it that easily. Instead of looking for newer ways and better ways to take care of the situation at hand, not only are we trying to dance around it and jump past it, but everyone's not looking into, hey, we need to mind the Paris Agreement and we need to drop everything down. Make sure that we roll back the production to the point to where we meet the Paris Agreement, not exceed it, because everything that I've literally just said is exceeding it either by 1.5%, 2%, or 3%. We don't need to exceed it. We need to go below it. In the latest report printed on Wednesday, the agency highlighted some measures governments are taking to reverse the fuel production trend, together with limiting new exploration and ending subsidies to fuel producers. All I'm genuinely going to say is stop focusing on the money. There are plenty of ways around it. Bikes are a thing, so are skateboards and rollerblades. Not going to say that you have to have that or you should do that or anything of that nature, but there are ways around it. That's all the time we have for today, everybody. We hope that you've enjoyed this segment. Please, please, please feel free to read the entire article. I went extensively deep into this. So if you will, please check it out on LinkedIn. Let us know your comments in the comments section below. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Also, please remember you can follow us on Twitter. We're consistently on there daily. On Instagram, you can check out all of our posts throughout the day. Check out our history on Reddit. Follow our Facebook page. We have updates consistently of everything that's going on. That way, if you've missed anything, you can check us out again. Don't forget Anchor. We have all of our podcasts, every single one from day one to right now. Check it out, especially if you can't watch the video and you can't read the article. We go in depth and we will be paying attention. We promise. Don't forget that we have Snapchat as well and TikTok. TikTok is our micro video app, and we make sure that we have at least 4 to 5 videos uploaded to a day. Now, with Snapchat, we are presently going through and messaging everybody one at a time. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please hit us back up on Snapchat and we'll try to take care of you as soon as possible. Well, that's all the time we've got for today. And remember, everyone, as always, we are here. Bye-bye.